Do you believe in freedom? Of course you do. That's why you are here. To die to serve for glory. I mean, obviously. And there's nothing more glorious than escalated freedom.
Helldivers 2 has announced the Escalation of Freedom update, which is actually not how they normally do things, right? They don't tell people about patches and new content, and of course, given all the talk of player counts going on, it's a pretty interesting situation. Now, maybe
everyone knew that they're gonna get some kind of bigger expansion-like thing happening to them because, again, even if it's a good game, we just live in a world where humans get tired of doing the same thing. It's an inevitability.
they should talk to the people over at Digital Extremes, the creators of Warframe, who've got themselves a little bit in the news. They've been pretty happy, right, to talk about their wisdoms from the very early years of the game. Thing is, though, when you look at their advice and then look at, say, the recent game that they just jettisoned themselves from pretty damn early, yeah, it's a little bit awkward. And then there's the final story. Sega taking someone to court for going too far. What's not too far, though, is Bellular.games. It's right in the video description. There, you can get videos ad-free. 6 months after the launch of Helldivers 2, it is in a interesting little situation. Audience numbers are settling in and around 30k. Sometimes it's dipping lower, and when it hits...
By the way, 30k 6 months in. Those are some still extremely good numbers. 30k is a very, very healthy game. There's no problem with that, by the way. But, you know, it has a dip of the all-time peak 460 people playing the game, and there come the Starfield fans that say, aha, see, what's the difference between Helldivers 2 and the 30k people playing and our 0k people playing? You know, there's a big one, losers.
New low, that tends to, generate a few articles, few YouTube videos. Now, generally speaking, right, what we understand is the audience is about 75% Steam, 25% PlayStation. And of course, that's post-PSN linking, general stability issues, you know, all that kind of thing. Now, the player numbers weren't overly impacted by PSN linking, like in a very immediate sense. We actually did a fairly deep dive into the numbers there. But that said, it didn't really help. I mean, yes, it got Helldivers all over the news, absolutely everywhere, but not really
Yeah, sometimes all PR is not good PR.
For a great way. I think what we are primarily seeing, though, is a fairly natural decline, right? A natural decline that, yes, had been hastened by a few things. Things we've already talked about, so let's focus on the future. 6 months is generally the time where a game is quite settled into its core audience, the people who will stick around, and essentially that's when games start to talk about.
First time I hear anything like that. I think if your game survives with a pretty high player count for 6 months, that just means you have a good game. Look at the average shit tier game that we are playing. Fallout 76, Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League, Skull and Bones, countless examples of games that literally died in less than a month. Well, Concord is dead in less than a day. You know, that's impressive.
About or deliver their larger updates. What we see then is this, the Escalation of Freedom. It is launching on the 6th of August, and it is not a season or a battle pass / war bond thing. The war bonds in particular are interesting. They're actually being spaced out, right? A bit different from their month-long sort of situation of the game launch. So this is an update, just an update. And it having a full marketing barrage is interesting. I think it does signify a little bit of a switch.
Dude, the Rambo / Catachan. Nice.
Helldivers was praised for having subversive marketing. Content basically wouldn't be publicized. What would happen is the content would be pushed into the game, then people would find it, right? And then they would talk about it, and that would turn into a big community event that would then get everybody talking across the internet. But now that's not happening. So what's coming in this update?
Again, marketing is one of my favorite things in the world because marketing is the stupidest thing in the world. I have worked with people in marketing departments. The average marketing department person, and it's really hard to even call them persons, they're mouth breathers for the absolute majority of cases. The average marketing person does not understand that 50% under expected sales is bad. They literally don't know what 2 plus 2 times 2 is. I'm not kidding. Marketing people are insane. And yet every single company in the world values the marketing department as either number 1, number 2, or number 3 importance wise. Because marketing, it's so hard to tell when it actually does anything. And the thing about marketing is, marketing can blame everything and anything on just the fact that, well, the product was actually shit, so this is why people didn't buy them, because there's probably a good sale number for day one and then it completely collapses. They can play absolutely anything on anything and get away with it. Oh, if the product sells good, well, that's because of marketing. And it's extremely hard to gauge how much marketing actually impacts the sales of a product. It is extremely hard. There's almost no way to do it, because you can account almost any increases that you could say it's from marketing from something else that happened that isn't marketing. The only times that marketing is 100% responsible for sales is, for example, I don't know, you have an old product and you have something, you know, a show in the Olympics. I think Tesla did that. That definitely boosted their sales, I think. And, you know, something like this, something where you know a billion, quadrillion people are gonna watch it, and then it's even hard to actually gauge how effective it is. Unless everyone's talking about your marketing campaign, you can't tell that someone's actually doing it. So any marketing campaign that Helldivers uses is just luck if it turns out good.
Basically is a new highest difficulty, new mission objectives, new enemy types, and new maps. In particular, they showed off this more like spooky looking version of the swamp, which I do think is pretty nice. And as well, there's a bunch of quality of life features. Now, the thing is, right, barring the difficulty, this is literally the content that would have been provided during any given period between Warbond releases, right? All those above things, they just would be happening in a drip feed manner. The difference here is, instead of a drip feed, and us finding out things as it happens, we're now getting this all at once. That is the main difference here, and that basically means that they are having to change their plans up. The initial marketing system that was built of mystery and surprise, that is taking a backseat to basically consistency and outreach to their player base. And that consistency and communication will actually matter. If audiences know what's coming, then they can set their expectations a little bit more clearly. Perhaps the live service could be a little bit better received. That should, in theory, mean some less disappointments when output from the development team don't match the dreams of fans, because again, that very amazing first 2-month experience where everything was new and fresh and surprising, in a way that could never last. And I suppose the strengths of the way that game launched and how so much stuff was naturally discovered, I think that fed an absolutely amazing explosion with the game. The thing is, though, in many ways that's going to be
the memes fed an absolute amazing explosion with the game.
Kind of unsustainable. Now, a little bit of that going on is absolutely going to be a good thing for just keeping the sort of week-to-week, day-to-day retention of the game going, right? And in the past video on this, I talked about how, yes, its Steam numbers are way down. But again, what makes you not consider yourself a player of a game? When Helldivers 2 is brand new and fresh and people are grinding up the entire progression of the game, getting all of their stratagems, their ship upgrades, yeah, they're going to be able to just keep on playing, especially as they're ascending up those difficulty levels. So that's what it's going to be like at launch. Now a bunch of those players will maybe play a few times a week, and when they do play, they probably won't have as high session times, which is obviously going to mean way fewer concurrents. Now,
it's so funny though. It's so fucking funny. Special H2 throwing knife. It's so hilarious. And then you throw down a giant bug and it just explodes. It's just glorious. It's just glorious. Again, Helldivers 2 it's just the memes don't disappoint. The memes do not disappoint, boys.
That, I think, then shifts this game into playing, well, the more traditional game, right? What they were doing at launch essentially meant that the peak kept on being extended. I think as well because it almost had the effect of an artificial waitlist, because their servers could only handle so many players. So there.
I actually think the exact opposite. I think this completely ruined Helldivers' chances because they did not get bigger. Obviously, if a game started out at a peak of like 1 million, it would be the retention would be way different, obviously, and probably better if it started on unlike the 450 peak. There is a difference between waiting to play and never getting to play in the first couple of days, and because of that, you decide to abandon the game. So many people gave up on Helldivers 2 because they could not play. This was not a win for Helldivers 2. The server problems were horrendous. This is not like World of Warcraft Classic release. One of the greatest releases of all time. One of the most absolutely epic releases of a game ever made, in fact. Personally, for me, that's literally number one. Dude, when you had to wait in queue for an hour to get into World of Warcraft Classic when it first dropped, and then you log in and you see that there are literally 15 to 50 people on every single spawn location for a mob, and everyone's in a group in the starting zone, bro, you know it's big. Okay? That is different. Helldivers 2 is just like, well, I can't play the game for 5 days. The memes are funny. I'm out. It's not even close. It's not even close. I think the Helldivers launch was a disaster. And it probably shafted their maximum peak player numbers by a huge amount.
There was all of this pent-up demand that then led to a bunch of like playtime being, I think, spread across 2 weeks very, very, very highly. Now, though, there's just not the progression and the variety for people to be playing this game 30 hours, 20 hours a week, or any crazy shit like that. It's just not possible. And that means instead of everything being in-game, they now need to go to their fans and reactivate them, and that is basically what this strategy is meant to do. As I said last time, they have a few real big things they can do. They can start to have things come close to Super Earth, right? They could have a battle on the moon. They could have a battle on Super Earth. That would be the real crazy stuff. The other big thing...
Well, I have talked about this. Dude, Helldivers have so many opportunities. For example, creating raids. They can do an expansion that is, for example, raids, where you're trying to raid some kind of giant, absolutely giant compound of the scumbag robots or the scumbag bugs. And it's like 20 players or 30 players in a single map. And suddenly, the situation of Helldivers 2 is not typical Helldivers 2, but it's something like Vermintide. And you're 30 people there. Now, I don't know if the servers can handle it or obviously something like that, but for example, if you do an expansion like that, I think people are not going to only come back, but new people are going to want to join in because that shit is insane.
They could pull is bringing in the third enemy faction from the previous game. So we'll have to see what goes on, but very much expect them to be leveraging their large quantity of like total players, not necessarily concurrence right now, and their very, very good brand recognition to just do more traditional marketing that can cut through to people. The next thing then, still very much live service, it is Digital Extremes and Warframe. So VGC had an interview with Steve Sinclair, who is the CEO of the company. They make Warframe. It is probably one of the world's more successful live service games. And this is all following them showing off Warframe.
Yeah. Well, Warframe does have a couple of mommies, so, it is what it is.
1999 at TennoCon, which, looks fairly interesting. And also their fantasy game, Soulsframe, which, gotta say, Soulsframe, I'm kind of interested in that. Now, this is all interesting to us because Warframe was not a particularly amazing launch. It was rocky. They put in a hell of a lot of work and some pretty incredibly expensive microtransactions if you want to do them. But basically, the bit that cut through to the news is Sinclair talking about other companies not sticking to their guns with live service releases, right? The whole thing basically being, hey, our game was a shit show when it came out. It had loads of problems, but we stuck with it, and then it was good. The particular quote from him...
Yeah. A game comes out not instantaneously successful, so many companies just give up. Even though it's kind of stupid, because for a lot of games, there's just so little you need to change, and it's probably going to be successful. It's honestly insane, in my opinion.
him is this. They think the release is make or break, and it's not. They have a financial way to be persistent, and they never do it. It comes out, doesn't work, and they throw it away. It's a shame when you put so many years of your life into iterating in those systems, or building technology, or building the start of a community, and because the operating costs are high, you get terrified when you see the numbers drop and leave. We've seen this with amazing releases that I think have massive potential, and I think they eject too soon. And I guess for a lot of people, they start to think, what would have happened if they actually picked up the Anthem Next project? Or the same question for so many other games. So you get the point. Could Lawbreakers have survived? Maybe I could think that. But the reason why this has raised eyebrows, though, is because Digital Extremes closed their entire publishing division after the launch of Wayfinder last year. Wayfinder, which didn't really have a great launch. Then also from their past was the likes of The Amazing Eternals, which is something that I'm pretty sure most people don't even remember. I certainly didn't, but yes, this happened in 2017.
I have no idea what this is.
Low player numbers, and they basically just gave up on it, and they refunded people 2 months after the launch. So it's a bit weird because with Wayfinder, with that other project, they do sort of seem like the kind of circumstances that Sinclair was talking about in the interview. Thing is, though, they are a company who do know what they are talking about, so there could be factors that led to all of that other stuff going bad that we don't know.
I think it's a lot of luck, honestly. Again, if you have seen stuff like this, if you actually know about the background, what's happening in a lot of situations, you understand that it is a lot of luck. There is a huge amount of luck involved in a lot of these things. The only thing that's not luck-based currently is GTA 6.
Know about. I suppose, though, and I guess why we thought it was interesting to include this in a roundup episode that also had the Helldivers stuff. Yes, Helldivers 2 has definitely cratered in terms of concurrent players. That being said, again, concurrency is different to DAUs. DAUs different to weekly active users. I think their weekly active users, they're probably better than the concurrency suggests, given, I think, the type of game. And I suppose what that basically means is play their cards right, and they can probably move that in the other direction. So what's that going to look like? And I think it's particularly notable when we've got Warframe involved, because Warframe, like when I remember Warframe, it is you go down through a corridor and you kill things, and that's it. It's going down corridors, killing things game. That is not what Warframe is at all these days, because they have added so much to that game experience. So I guess,
well, that's good. That's good. Warframe also does have the uniqueness of its movement system. No other game really does Warframe like Warframe does Warframe.
With Helldivers 2, what are they going to do? I doubt it will be PvP. I don't think they're set up to do that, and they've pretty much said that's not what they want to do. So, can they just keep on adding content to it, to the same thing? Or do they have to start to do things that properly change up how the game actually feels to play? Add more types of progression? Do they maybe need to break it into yearly seasons and have it so that instead of it just being an endless...
Is shield generator still the meta?
The war is forever, and that's it. Which, of course, forever means nothing. In the same way that, yes, No Man's Sky at the start had, functionally infinite planets, but, they all kind of feel sort of the same. So...
Well, No Man's Sky is also... Dude, No Man... Actually, let me Google it real quick. No Man's Sky Steam charts. I think No Man's Sky is absolutely killing it currently. Yeah, currently last played 16k players. Averages, though, about, 6 to 9 to almost 10-ish k. But No Man's Sky is effectively killing it. 24-hour peak is 40k currently. In the last 25 minutes, it's been 23k. Jesus. No Man's Sky is doing an excellent job. No Man's Sky is the same tier of comeback story, honestly, but it's not talked about so much, even though it's technically bigger than, Cyberpunk 2077. No Man's Sky's turnaround is phenomenal. They added so many things, they fixed so many things, and again, for anyone who thinks Starfield is playable, don't just play No Man's Sky if you're interested in space exploration.
What do? Can they have a forever war, or do they start actually needing to put stakes into things? I think stakes are probably the way to go. And I suppose stakes are what Sega, in a very different time, would drive through the people they're angry with. But no, now that's done in the legal system. So basically, Sega are drawing
Do we care about Sega, boys?
a little bit of a line in the sand. They have taken somebody.
That's that Overwatch woman that's gonna destroy Blizzard. Oh my.
To court for excessive, slanderous, and insulting comments and social
Sega's used for excessive, okay.
media against one of our employees for a long.
Wait, Sega's Japanese, right? I think they are. So there's two things. One, Sega's a multi-million-dollar company, potentially billions. I don't actually know how big Sega currently is. But even if they're in the millions, that means that they can destroy the life of the person just by having a lawsuit. Again, whistleblowers. Have you ever heard about them in America? There have been multiple whistleblowers for things like banks and a lot of things like that. And you know what happens? Considering America has no protection for whistleblowers, there is a woman that 15 years ago or something like that blew the whistle on a giant US bank. Can't even remember the name of the bank. And that bank is still around. And for 15 years after she did that, they have been suing her more than one time a month. They don't care that they're not gonna win. They don't care that it costs them money to do this. They don't care. They just want to destroy her life. And that is what lawsuits can do. As a normal person, you're probably not winning against a millionaire or a billionaire, because they just have enough money to keep you forever in pain.
Time.
And Japan can actually sue people for slander, with the caveat that even if the slander is true, it is insane. Yes. In America, for example, or the rest of the world, if someone sues you for slander, for example, calling you some kind of word or saying that you did something, you can sue them for slander. But if it turns out in discovery that this slander is actually true, that you are the thing that he claims, then the case is forfeit because, well, he's not lying. But in Japan, yeah. So you can be someone who abuses their workers as a boss in a workplace, and if someone talks about it on social media, the abusive boss can sue them for talking bad on social media about them, for dishonoring the company or something like that. And it doesn't matter the fact that it turns out the boss is completely 100% abusing his power, his everything, and the employees. The guy who called him bad for doing it is still gonna get punished. That's a thing.
And the thing is, this is not the usual, like, communication from an audience. This is beyond what they call warm encouragement, scolding, and sometimes even harsh comments about our products and services that they say they welcome.
Okay, no one gives a shit. Anyway, this is now interesting.
Studio manager for Valorant, I forget exactly. But, like, overtly was like, no, trash talk's totally okay. So it's not that. I think it is, though, something that's interesting and a little bit unique to games, and that is that
wait. Let's restart a little bit here. We missed
maybe
something.
it won't have as many sort of like hobbyists, stuff like that. Anyway, 91% of developers think that player harassment and toxicity is something that affects their work. 41% responding to the survey said that they would class it as a very serious issue in the industry. 40% of the 2,300 people said that they had experienced harassment, and those...
This seems the most absolute 100% BS survey I have ever heard in my life. There is no way that 91% of developers think that player harassment and toxicity is an issue in their workplace. There is no way.
Minority groups made up the vast proportion of those impacted. I suppose it would have been good to know, like, what percentage of the 40% is that, but anyway. 68% said that their employers had actually addressed behavior from the audiences, 30% via internal methods, 4% via external methods, and 34% via a combination. That is kind of interesting to me. Honestly, you don't... I mean, that 34%, that 4% of, external methods only, you don't really hear stories of that as much. I mean, obviously, I've just covered two of them, right, with Bungie and Sega. I suppose now we're very much not in the 20% of developers who basically said that their company had done nothing about the problem. So it's kind of interesting. I mean, it really is an actual problem in the industry. Look, trash talk, that's fine. Everybody's okay with trash talk. I mean, even take the League of Legends related story. Or no, it wasn't. It was Valorant. The person like doing the video or like hosting the video, was she the studio manager for Valorant? I forget exactly. But like, overtly was like, no, trash talk's totally okay. So it's not.
Yeah, we covered this situation. No. She's not saying... She's doing the stupidest thing ever. She's saying trash talk is okay, but toxicity is not. What is the line between trash talk and the toxicity? I have no idea. No one does. So, yeah. Them taking and by the way, this story was absolutely just stupid. This is a complete hell. This woman is a complete trash tier moron, okay? So, what happened here was a female streamer was playing Valorant. She egged up a guy to insult her. She said that she's gonna use this for content. She literally created a honey trap for him intentionally, and then he said, "Oh, I'm gonna argue," and she couldn't handle it, and she just completely shut down, and that was it. Yeah, okay? And the guy got banned forever for it. Which is great. Absolutely great. And then, people were obviously not happy with the situation because, if you're gonna intentionally try to get someone to attack you, and then you pull out the victim card, yeah, that's obviously not fun. And then people found that woman has said similar things to other people, that she has been extremely toxic without a doubt to other people, saying also extremely nasty things. And what does happen? What happens? Nothing. Riot ignores everything. They keep her on, and that's it. This is literally the end of Riot, by the way. Because this person... If someone eggs someone else on, does everything they can to try and make them break the rules, and then gets that person banned, while themselves they are known to do similar stuff and they never get punished. And this woman is like, yeah, that's the type of player we want in Valorant. It's over. Valorant is so over. Soon Valorant is gonna turn into a game that, soon, if you do not participate in furry roleplay while playing your ranked match with your team because they want it to happen, you're gonna probably get banned for being a bad person in the community. It's completely over for Valorant, and probably this is obviously gonna spill to, well, everything else in League of Legends and whatnot. It's so over.
Was she the studio manager? Customer facing as an industry.
Anyway, I think we're done here. A Bel Air News, 10 out of 10. Bye.